Hello Sagittarius friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my Sagittarius December 2021 Astrology Must-Knows Horoscope Forecast. Definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com. That is your interface for all of the free goodies that I make for you each month, and there are a lot, and there are even more reasons to join my free email newsletter now because you will be able to run a free birth chart, which I'm always encouraging you to do, so that you can see more about your chart and use the information I give you in these in-depth reports in better ways. So this information is going to be for you if Sagittarius is your sun sign like me, or your rising sign, or your moon sign, or any other Sag placement that you watch for. This report is going to have pieces that are part of your picture. If you are a late degree Sag, also like me, like especially if your birthday is from December 11th through the rest of the sign, or if you've got a Sag placement from 20 to 29 degrees, then I suggest that you watch additionally my Capricorn report, because us cuspy people have a more complex read and you're going to get pieces from the Sag report and the Cap report. Okay, so we have a lot of exciting things to talk about. We've got the big wrap up, and we've got some things that have been in motion for a while that are coming to some conclusions, and we've got to address all of this and some things very specific for Sag. First big must know for Sag is that we have an eclipse in our sign on December 4th, 12 degrees of Sagittarius. So every Sag has been going through a major change series over the last couple of years, starting from around March 2020, which is when the world shut down, if you'll notice. That's when the eclipse season for the Sagittarius Gemini eclipse cycles began, and now this is the final conclusion of that cycle. So things that have been in motion for a while, projects, ways of doing things, themes that have been in your life over this time are going to come to a dramatic conclusion, for better or worse. Some things have been difficult and those things are going to end, so yay. Some things have been showing you aspects of your life that have been outdated that need to be revamped or redone, and you are going to have to say goodbye to some things. I know I've had to say goodbye to one of the most important things in my life over this cycle, and that was not very easy for me. Still is not very easy for me, and so I'm with you if you've gone through having to say goodbye to things that you didn't want to. But we do have to know that anything that happens at eclipse time is on the ecliptic, and the ecliptic, it rules our highest expression in this lifetime and the karma that we're clearing up in order to step into our highest expression in this lifetime. So there are going to be things that are revealed to you, and as of this, I'm recording this in October, we've already started eclipse season. You might start to see ways that those things are going to manifest for this conclusion, and the conclusion can also be coupled with a new opening up. Things involving education, teaching, learning, different countries, different cultures, different languages, international business, churches or outlooks on things, your spiritual viewpoint, or just the way you see things, period, your mindset. All of that has been under radical change, and Sagittarius have also been experiencing and will continue to experience great changes within your personal relationships and how you relate to yourself and others. You, like me, may have had to say goodbye to someone that was very important to you, or those goodbyes might still be coming, but you might have also said hello to somebody new, or had somebody else come back into your life that is of critical importance in your destiny. And for those of you who have not had to say goodbye and may not have to say goodbye to anyone during this cycle, you might be seeing chapters within your relationships end. And some of those things will be very, very welcome, because this cycle also has to do with a massive clearing up of negative karma and a massive activating of positive karma. And so the hands of fate are very busy at work weaving your new life, and you're going to have insights as soon as, now in October, for how these manifestations in November and December and beyond are going to come into play. So it's a very powerful time. All Sagittarius are in this spectrum. Nobody's getting out of the potential of massive change, but those of you who have planets close to 12 degrees. Now this is another opportunity for you to run a free birth chart. I'm always telling you, find a way to do it online. You can do that now, or you can wait. At the end of November, people on my email list will be able to run a free birth chart in a separate membership, free membership area. And we want you to see what your degree of Sagittarius placement is. We want you to see if you have any more placements in Sag. I was shocked to see my chart for the first time. I didn't understand astrology at that time, but I was like, whoa, what is all that over there? All that over there was a massive imbalance in the sign of Sagittarius. So I have a lot of placements in Sag. So pretty much any degree that anything can happen in Sag will affect me personally, because I have everything within the spectrum of influence. So you might have that as well. And if you have something close to 12 degrees, so this is going to be anywhere from 7 to 17 degrees, and the closer to 12 degrees, the more you're going to get directly hit by this eclipse, and the more you're going to see radical changes from this eclipse specifically. And if you don't know your degrees, when your birthday is in the last few days of November, the first week of December, and the closest to like December 2nd, the more intense, then you all will be the ones in the spectrum getting the most hit as well. And this is for any Sag placement. Like my North Node is in Sagittarius and is going to be directly hit by this eclipse, North Node being the highest expression in this lifetime. So you can look for all of those different facets of your being and see which ways you might be affected. So changes are going to come in your physical body as well, and can also come in your space of your mindsets or addictive patterns in your mind. I highly recommend you additionally watch my Eclipses in Sagittarius video. It's on my homepage, Annie Botticelli YouTube homepage, or you can search for it organically as Annie Botticelli Eclipses in Sag. I also recommend that you watch my Eclipses in Aries video, because that is the house that this is going to take place for everyone from the whole house perspective. And for those of you who are December born Sages, I also suggest you watch my Eclipses in Pisces video, because that's going to give you an additional dimension to some of the changes that might be occurring in your life from this eclipse. Okay, so eclipse, crazy time. So it's birthday time again, and birthday time is a very exciting time because the universe is especially receptive to your wishes and your intentions at the time of your birthday. And if you have a Sag placement other than your sun, this is still very exciting for you, because as the sun comes and gives warmth and amplifies the energies of whatever placement of yours it passes through, it's like a little mini rebirth and a little mini new cycle and a fresh slate, a clean slate. So you want to make sure to make the most of your birthday wishes. Birthday wishes are astrological because the energy of the sun represents our desire. And when the energy of desire in the chart gets back, or in the sky gets back to the energy of desire from the chart perspective, meaning the sun in the sky gets to the same degree it was at when you were born, that's your solar return. And that opens a portal for wishing and for intending and making positive changes. And that energy of the 12th house being accentuated before your birthday is very purposeful, because that place of your fears and your anxieties and the patterns being awoken is perfect timing for you to see the things you don't want, see the things you're ready to change, and then use your birthday wishes and intentions to make those changes. So it's like it brings everything up so you can kind of see, and then you can use the power of the birthday wish in order to make positive shifts. So happy birthday to all of my fellow Sag friends. My birthday is December 16th, so anyone who's in there, I'm celebrating on that day with you, and I'm celebrating in the whole time of Sagittarius with all of you, my fellow Saggy friends. Next big must know. On December 19th, we have Venus going in retrograde. That date is a little deceiving though, because the shadow period for the Venus retrograde started earlier. I'm going to give you all these dates, but I want to first tell you why this is important. Venus rules love and relationships and romance and money and finances and income and spending and design and self-esteem and beauty type of things, okay? So you can see Venus has her fingers in a lot of pudding pies. She rules a lot of different areas of life. So when Venus goes offline, it creates dramatic effects. So you want to be very well up on what goes on in Venus retrograde. And fortunately, I'm your girl for that, because I have created lots of resources to help you with this. I'm going to touch on some very important things and give you some summaries here and talk about some specific things for Sag. But you definitely want to watch my Venus retrograde video and see my Venus retrograde through the signs and houses series on my site, anniehelpsyou.com. But the video is of particular importance because it goes into all of the caveats and all of the rules and all of the things to know to be able to make this time the best possible. One of the most important must-knows about Venus retrograde is that you are very likely to be under a spell. Okay, if you ever hear the old stories about the gods and goddesses, and they could put us under spells, right? And Venus would put people under a love spell. There's money rulership there. There's money spells. So we're not seeing clearly in love or money or design. And that is why one of the biggest must-knows about this transit is that you want to avoid doing anything long-term that's not flexible or that you're not sure if you can manage, or anything that's high stakes in those arenas, or anything that if you change your mind, it's not easily reversible. Okay, so if you shave your head, your hair you've been growing for 20 years, because you were under a Venus spell and that rules your appearance and how you're trying to present yourself, then when the Venus spell is over, you might be like, oh my God, why did I do that? What was I thinking? Same thing goes for if you sell your house to get money to put in Bitcoin in Venus in retrograde. I'm not saying anything about investing in crypto in general. I think that crypto is going to be a part of our future for sure. But I'm just making an example of things that can be a little bit excessive that people can do. If you do excessive things like that, you might not be seeing clearly at that time. If you have direct intuition and you can trust it and you want to make decisions, it's fine. But it's always better to diversify your efforts and not do big types of things because you might not be seeing clearly. So just kind of remember that with money, love, design projects, things you do to your physical body, any physical enhancements, if it's not easily reversible, then it's not the best time to do it. But November has some good times for things like that. You can check my November report. And actually, it's good if you haven't watched the November report, definitely want to watch that because I do talk more about some Venus retrograde points. I also talk about the November eclipse and how that's still going to be radiating into December. And I also talk about how we have a very nice open time frame for taking some important actions in case you want to do something along the Venus lines. You've got some better energy for that in the earlier part of November than you do in the month of December. Okay, so now back to the dates. Venus will be retrograde from December 19th through around the 29th of January. But the shadow period starts November 18th and it goes at the end until early March. So you've got half of November, all of December, all of January, all of February in the Venus rose-colored glasses, love spell, money spell, design spell zone. All right, so hopefully a word to the wise is sufficient and that you'll educate yourself about these Venus matters before doing anything drastic. But if it's something low stakes, like you just want to get some throw pillows and a little runner and paint a wall, and you want to just get some new clothes and you can afford it and it's not a big deal, those kind of things are fine during Venus retrograde. Because they're low stakes, they're easily fixable. If you decide you don't like them, it's easy to change or easy, you just get over it. It's the high stakes, irreversible things you want to watch. All right. Another big must know about Venus retrograde is that it's occurring in the sign of Capricorn, which means that you're going to have a lot of questions and things coming back from the past and things, getting called into question about your work or business or relationships with fathers or father figures or authority figures or anything like that. And the challenge of this can be that if you have any money or financial or business issues or employment issues, it could bring some old patterns up to be dealt with. The good news about it, though, is that you can resolve those issues, and it also can bring good things from the past. Remember that the tides are coming in now with this retrograde. So if you try to throw your business launch, message in a bottle out, it's going to come right back in. If you try to, do something big with your business or your money or anything like that, the tides are coming in, so it's not going to get out very far. And that's why you want to work with things closer to you that have already been established. Business contacts, clients from the past, anything like that, you can see a very big set of financial gains. And this is specific for Sag because not only are you getting the financial aspect from Venus ruling money, you're also getting the financial aspect because it rules employment and income. You're also getting it because it's happening in the second house, which is the house of money, which is ruled by Venus. Okay, so I really can't emphasize enough how much money and business and work and rethinking things, going back to ideas that you had in the past. Let's say you've established a business and then all you've been feeling, partly because of the Sagittarius eclipse cycle, partly because of the Venus retrograde, partly because of different things, you want to go back to something you were interested in when you were a teenager before you got your degree in something else, or something that, work that you did in the past. A lot of things from the past are going to come up and bring great joy and great outcomes for you to kind of be diving back into these things. And so you'll see this come up a lot. If you have to make a major decision that has to do with ending an income source and it's in your hands, it might be the time to do that, and it might be okay. But really follow the signs, because you don't want to leave yourself in a position where you're missing financial security that you might later want. Okay? So one of the best things to do is to add. So let's say you're interested in making money in a different way. Start laying the groundwork for that while you keep the income from the other thing. And then you get the best of both worlds. Okay, so this also might question budgeting and sustainability of your work and how many hours you put in. And this is going to be a big topic for people as we, recreate the workforce and recreate what industries look like, recreate the work week, see what's sustainable for you. And in general, Sages like to have their free flow. So if you've been confined into a certain space or a certain schedule, you might be starting to ask questions or plant some seeds in the backdrop for how you can have more flow and more ease and more freedom within your work and income making. Okay, so a couple more must-knows here. Let's see. The first is that Scorpio energies are still present through Mars. And so things involving your relationships and your close personal, intimate places are still requiring a lot of energy, and you're still probably very motivated to work along those fronts. So from September, October, November, December, there's this very strong push for focus on your relationships, improving them, dealing with issues that come up, partnering with people, and healing things from the past. And that's still going to happen. Now, what's also happening is that Mars is rumping and bumping around like a bull in a china shop in your psyche. And this is not only happening now, this is also happening from the sun happening now. Okay, so basically Mars and the sun are going to highlight your 12th house, and this happens before your birthday, which of course we have to talk about birthdays as well. So having a lot of emphasis in your 12th house means that a lot of anxieties, fears, addictive behaviors, old patterns, restlessness can start to brew. And it can make you spin out. All right, having so many Sag energies present will spin out your tendency to spin out, because the energy is mutable. So at this time every year, you're not just busy because it's holiday time. You're not just busy because it's year-end time. You're busy because the Sag planets move in a spiral, and that activates your spiral nature. So you're over here doing this, you're here, you're here, you're here, you're here, and it's always a blur. But it's a blur because of the Sag energies, not because of the month or not because of the holiday. If we didn't have holidays in December and it wasn't the end of the year and we had Sag energies there, it would still be this way, because that's what really the source is of this. So you're gonna need a little bit more work to stay centered, and you might have to get into your own space a little bit more to help you be able to have the clarity that you need. And so don't be afraid to say no. Basically, you're going to have lots of offers and lots of opportunities to do things, and you might be able to say no and be happy about that, or you might be able to say yes, but with some contingencies that allow for giving you the things that you'll need out of the situation. So as usual, the tendency for Sages to overpromise and overcommit is going to be very strong right now. So just kind of think about that in the moment to try to prevent burnout. Okay, so another big must know, and this is on the 24th, but we've been feeling it all year. We're going to feel it into 2022. We're going to feel it very strongly this month, is we have the third and final of the year clash of the Saturn-Uranus connection. I did a separate video on this, and I highly recommend that you watch it because this is a mega transit or aspect, because these are outer planets that are coming together in a significant connection for an extended period of time, and it's having massive effects from our individual experience out to the global level. So you'll want to know as much as possible, and I do a very comprehensive job. So if you just search for Annie Botticelli, Saturn square Uranus, you can get lots of details about the subtle and not so subtle manifestations of this, but I'll give you some key points here. We are working with the clash of the old, Saturn, and the innovation of the new. And old systems are being torn down, and new ideas are flooding in. But the new ideas are Uranus-based, and they're not always very stable or sustainable. So we're in this battle within ourselves and within the world, our communities, our relationships, the world, to see what it is that needs to stay in place of the old systems and what is going to be in the new system. Now, ultimately, the best case scenario is for parts of both of those things to make it into the new way. It's not going to be, this is causing a lot of division where people are saying this or this and this or this, and you're seeing extra ways for people to be polarized about, masks or no, vaccines or no, working from home or no. I mean, there are just a lot of ways that people are experiencing divisiveness to the nth degree. But that's not the best ways to use the energy. The best ways to use the energy is through integrative means of the best of both worlds. And so you'll find that if you implement this idea for yourself and your relationships and the world, that's going to be what the best outcome is. And so this has to do a lot with, if we look at it from the brain being a hologram for the whole rest of our experience, is the development of the corpus callosum, which connects the right and left hemispheres. Now, with Jupiter going to Pisces, that's going to be our next bus. Now, I'm just preempting a little bit here. We're going to have a very inner spiritual revolution where a lot of our answers are going to come from inside and from spirit rather than us just trying to logic around them. And so the brains of very, very intelligent people, geniuses, that have been studied, all have this very well-developed corpus callosum, which is the matter that connects the hemispheres of the brain. So the people that are the smartest people, for the most part, there are always exceptions, those people are not just accessing logic or just accessing creativity and intuition. They're melding both of those things. So anything that you can do to develop that space in your brain, like through hemisync meditations where your brain is getting activated, different parts of your brain are being activated. I'm not a doctor, those might not be right for you. There might be caveats to them for your situation or whatever, but I'm just giving you an example. Any kind of modality or any type of effort that grows that connector, that network between both sides is going to be the highest, best way. And so the more that we can bridge the divides and look at the best points of anything going on, that's going to be the way to move forward rather than the either or. Okay, so the foundations are being tested, the market systems, this topic of freedom versus slavery and what that subjective meaning and personal definitions of those are, how we can rebel without throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and how we can take in both consideration instead of thinking one is the only answer. So this was very strong all year with hot points February 14th, June 14th, and now on December 24th. We're going to have a little bit of a break of it once it starts to wane into January, and then we're going to have it be strong again from August through November of 2022. So things that are secondary or ancillary problems from the coronavirus situation, like supply chain issues, things that are secondary from global warming effects of crazy weather and other climate change things, agriculture needing to be moved, fires burning out farms and water access, just all of this stuff everything is going into a change cycle, and all of these new things are being formed, which brings me to one of the points that is really great about this time for you as an individual and us, everyone in the world, is that the fields for creativity of sparking new industry and ideas are very, very ripe. And the more you can take the principles that have worked from the past to implement these new things, the more you're going to really have success in your individual and our group efforts. Okay, one important lesson to know, our last must know from Saturn versus Uranus, is that money and sustenance all come directly from spirit. And this is something that people are very confused about, and we're not taught this. We're taught that money comes from your parents, from you working, from your spouse, from your job, from the government, from wherever the money comes from. But money, like everything else, is energy, and energy is spirit. Everything comes from spirit. So the more that we can fine-tune our connection with spirit, the more we are buffered from the changes that happen to the middle people. All of those ways that we have money or sustenance are middle people that stand between us and spirit. But if you just keep remembering and deepening your spiritual connection, and remembering these spiritual principles, it will help you to get through the many changes and seemed losses of this time, and help to navigate through into your security. Because placing security in an ever-moving target place like the Earth is not very easy. But if you place your security into your connection with spirit, then that is, a good lesson of this square, which leads me to the last must know, which is that Jupiter is moving into Pisces. Pisces is the energy of the all that is, that connected space where we are all one. Everything is true at the same time. We are different and we are the same, right? And so the places where we are the same and where we have the same human condition and the same lessons and the same emotions and the same types of experiences, that's all the Piscean realm. That's the cosmic soup from where the individual Aries springs in the cosmic wheel of the zodiac wheel of our experience. And so as Jupiter goes into Pisces, it really spurs this spiritual involution or revolution where we return to spirit and return to the inner space from where everything is popping out, where we try to impact more the internal space that it's being cast from, rather than trying to control the things outside more. It's a very internal, intuitive, creative time where art for art's sake and creativity for creativity's sake is starting to get more favor. So in general, this is very exciting. So for Sagittarius, Jupiter moving through Pisces actually makes a square to any Sagittarius placements you have. And this doesn't have to be a bad thing, but it certainly will be a point of pressure. And you will feel this. You've noticed this, I'm sure, every year when the sun is in Pisces. So that's like at the end of February through most of March. The more Sag placements you have, the more you'll be feeling this. The angle that Pisces makes for Sag is sort of uncomfortable, and it does bring up a lot of emotional things. It does seem like things are blocking us from moving forward. It does seem like we're having not a lot of support, or a lot of things we have to deal with when we're trying to do other things, and it can get very, very overwhelming. So you will be feeling that, okay? From the end of December through the beginning of May, it's going to go through and square all of our Sag placements. But if you just know that, first of all, this can also be positive because it can be a trigger for radical positive emotional shifts. Second of all, it can be a time that's very internal, a time where there are things in the backdrop that you're having to return to or finish unfinished business for, the big energetic push that will come after that. Because once Jupiter gets into Aries, that is a totally different story, and that is amazing for Sagittarius. So it's kind of like a very deep dive internally, asking yourself some very important questions about long-term ventures, everything in your relationship. What do you want to do with your life? What about your work? How are your relationships with others? How is your relationship to relationship? Is your highest purpose being expressed? Are you able to, do you feel safe in your life and your relationships? If not, why? Do you have addictions that need attention? It's a very internal space, but from that space, the more you focus on the inner work, the more you're burst back out in your new redefinition of yourself is going to be so beautiful and so glowing and so just brilliant. And knowing this beforehand, when you're feeling it, then you don't have to worry and say, oh gosh, what's wrong? What it is that you're just cleaning up your emotional space, and in some cases all of your other spaces, in preparation for a new redefinition of your whole self and burst into a whole new 12-year cycle. So another must know, and this is the last must know for Jupiter and Pisces for Sag, is that when Jupiter is in Pisces, it accentuates the 4th house of home and family for Sagittarius, okay? So you are very likely going to see topics coming up of your home, your family, your housing, your real estate or real estate holdings, businesses from home, and that topic. You're going to see things that have to do with family dynamics, family patterns, and where you want to live, location, things actually with your house itself, things that might need attention. So just kind of be prepared that you're going to be diving into that space. Those types of things are going to be coming up, and old patterns and old dynamics are going to reign supreme, and you can make the decision to rid yourself of those shackles that bind at this time that relate to your ancestral negative garbage, we could just say. And I don't want to be negative about it and say all of it's garbage, but there are some things that are just outworn and outdated involving the family, and these topics are definitely going to come up. Now, every Sag is going to have this 4th house be aspected. Those of you who are earlier in the sign, so the November born or the first part of December, you'll notice these changes and effects sooner than those of you who are in the later spectrum. But sometime between the end of December and May, you all will be feeling it. And there is a 3-month early orb where you might start seeing how this is going to play out. Some little topics have come up already, very likely here even in October when I'm recording this, of how those things are going to play out. So you're kind of getting signs into, and also when we had Jupiter dip into Pisces this summer, or winter for you all down under, the topics that came up about home and housing and family and living in places and location and all of that stuff, you might have had a little dip into it and then it sort of went away, and now it's starting to bubble again. And the deeper we get into that end of December through early May time frame, you all are going to have this front and center. Okay, so I have given you a massive amount of information and must-knows to help you make the most of this month and to know what could be coming so that you can best prepare for it. If you want to have even more information, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter. On the AnnieHelpsYou.com site, you'll see the interface for all the free things that I do for you each month, and there are so many. When you sign up for my free email newsletter, you get Shine, my 28-day virtual coaching package. Talk about inner work. This is an inner work powerhouse that I give you for free as a member of my email community. Also, new perk starting towards the end of November, as a member of my email community, you will also get access to run a free birth chart and see what placements and degrees you have so that you can use my videos that I make for you, these in-depth videos, in even greater ways. I have so many other resources, including books, my book Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. You can find it actually on bookshelves in all the major booksellers in the United States and lots of other countries too. And if it's not there on the shelf when you walk in, you can definitely order it. It's on Amazon. It's pretty much everywhere. And it's a guidebook to help you align with the natural rhythms of the universe. If you'd like to be an astrologer as your profession, or just casually earn some money from your love of astrology, or just help yourself and your friends and family, you will love my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course. If you think I go into lots of details, crazy amount of details in my free offerings, you should see what I give you in that course. So you can check that out at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. I also have some free courses on wellness and abundance at that site, which you can tap into. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.